Hi, and welcome back to this session on musicianship for worshippers, worship leaders, and worship musicians. And we're looking at the key things that everybody needs to know if you're going to be part of a church music team, worship team, or leading and singing in worship. And this session is on scales and keys. Now, typically when we talk about scales and keys, people freak out and think that's going to be massive theory and too difficult. Actually, what we're going to do is give you a simple way that you can work with scales and keys and know what you're talking about and not feel embarrassed when someone asks the question about what key or what scale are we playing in. So at the end of this video, you'll be able to collect a PDF of a worksheet that will help you as well, that you can keep in your music folder or take with you, and anytime you get stuck, you'll be able to refer to it. So I hope that you find this video helpful. Let's dive in. We're looking at musicianship for worshippers, session 3, scales and keys. Now, very frequently stated reality is that music is in a key. They'll say this is in the key of D, or this is in the key of G, or this is in the key of C. Or they might say this is in the key of A minor or E minor. I talked to you earlier about the fact that music is built around ladders, and we call the ladders in music scales. And I showed you on the keyboard how each note, the keyboard's a great instrument to look at, because on the keyboard we see that each note goes up or down, and it actually even looks a little bit like a ladder. If you put this on its side, the piano looks like a ladder. And so I use ladders as our illustration for scales and keys. So what you'd notice, and I've got 4 different ones there, not all ladders are alike, but they all serve the same purpose, which is they tell us which notes or keys are being used in a song. So all scales or ladders are built the same way. They don't all use the same notes, and each scale or key has its own key signature. What that basically means is which notes are changed, raised or lowered, sharps or flats, black notes on the keyboard, which notes are raised or lowered to make the scale work. Now, there is a way to work this out for yourself, however, it's probably not really required at this level. So we've got there a ladder with just a keyboard, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. So we're just looking at the scale, if you like, of D. So in Western music, and that's primarily what the worship music that we're talking about in this course is about, we use major and minor scales. There is a major and minor scale built on every note. In other words, there's a major and minor scale built on that middle C note that we looked at. There's a major and minor scale built on D and E and F. And there's even major and minor scales built on the flats and the sharps. So like a B flat major scale or a C sharp minor scale. So each one of those notes has a key signature. And you can see the key signature there in the center of the screen. The key signature is usually seen at the start of the music, next to that squiggly circular thing that we call a clef. That's a treble clef. And we see in this particular case that D major has 2 sharps. It says that there's an F and a C sharp on the notes on the staff there. And so we can just know that. And so it says that the notes F and C in the D major scale will be raised, and they'll be black notes instead of white notes on the piano. So the key signature is always present at the start of the lead sheet, and we'll talk about lead sheets later in the course, and it tells the worshiper which scale is being used and which chords will work with it. So if you're in the key of D major, then you're playing chords based on the key of D major. Now, there's a handout that's you can click on the link associated with this video, and you'll see there's a handout that looks like the one on the left-hand side there. But here is a simple way of using that handout to work out what key or scale you're in. The first thing you do is you look at the lead sheet or the music that you've been given, and you see at the start there's a key signature. Then you can compare it to the handout and see which of the scales or keys on the handout has the same sharps or flats. And then you can look at that to establish which key you're in. So if you look at the two examples I've given there, above all has 3 sharps, an F, a C and a G sharp at the start. And if you look at the handout, we see that A major has 3 sharps, F, C and G. So we know that above all is going to be in the key of A major. Now often, not always, but often, the first and the last chord or note of the song will also be the name of the key. In this case, we see above all, the very first chord of above all is an A chord, and you can't really see it on the handout there, but the bottom right hand corner, the very last chord in the song above all is also an A. So that's a dead giveaway that we're in the key of A major. So what? Well, the most common reason that music is sounding wrong is that someone's not playing the right notes. That is, they've missed the sharps or flats, they're playing the wrong chords, or they're basing it on the wrong scale. They're not playing the right black notes or the right semitones on their instrument. And typically that's because they haven't looked at the key signature or they don't know what chords or scale the song is based on. So there are chords in every key. And we've looked at the D major scale and we worked out that it had F sharp and C sharp in it. So knowing or choosing a key signature is the starting place for getting pleasant sounding chords and note combinations. Once you've decided on the key, then the chords are actually automatic. Works the same every time. The 1 chord will always be the name of the scale you're in. The 2 chord will be the second note. The 4, the 5 and the 6 will be based on the 2nd, 4th, 5th and 6th notes of the scale. And using the key signature, you just play the notes of the scale 2 steps away. So as we talked about in a previous video, chords are based on 1, 3 and 5, or 1, skip 2, go to 3, skip 4, go to 5 of the name of the chord. So the common chords in D major are built on the notes of the scale. So a 1 chord in D major will be D, and it will have D, F sharp and A because we worked out that D major had an F sharp in it. Chord 2 will always be minor, usually, and it will be based on the second note, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. D, E is the second note, so chord 2 will be E minor, E, G, and B. Why aren't there any sharps or flats mentioned there? Because there are no Fs or Cs in that chord, and as a result, the F sharp and the C sharp don't occur. Chord 4 will be based on the 1, 2, 3, 4th note of the scale, D, E, F, G. So on the G, B, and D notes. Chord 5 will be based on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th note of the scale, or A, D, E, F, G, A, so it's based on A, and it's got the notes A, C, and E, and we make the C a sharp because D major has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. Chord 6, we're based on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th note of the scale, D, E, F, G, A, B, and it's going to have a B, D, F, and the F will also be a sharp because we know that D major has 2 sharps, F sharp and C sharp. So here's a little practical activity for you. Write a sequence of chords, at least 8 of them in a row, in the key of D major. Make sure that you finish with the D chord, probably start with it as well, and try to play that chord progression either on the keyboard or a guitar, or get someone who plays an instrument to play it for you. If any of your chords don't sound like they follow, swap them around until you like the order. And then you can improvise a tune, no words, just a tune, sing la 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 or loo loo loo. Remember, the chord will sound correct if it rests on the notes in that chord. So that was in our second video, the one on melody. I hope that if you're not sure and you want to just revise that, go back and have a look at the video on melody. Once you are happy with something, you're on the right road to having created your first song. So I hope this is helpful for you. As I said, we're doing this short course on musicianship for worship musicians, worship leaders, and people who just need to know some basics about music. And I hope that you stick with us as we find our way through this series. Bye for now.